See how long you last.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a perfect example of good idea but bad execution. Nerf Legends was a game that released a couple years back, and it's one that I was super excited for, but then when I finally played it, I was super let down. And we're going to kind of go over some of the good things it had, not very many, the bad things, which there are more of, and just some personal notes I had about this. Because, like I said, I was just so upset when this game flopped as hard as it did. But let's give it the benefit of the doubt to start with. And for the good things about it, it's got a decent weapon selection. Like, you can't lie about that, you can't deny it. There is a decent handful of weapons in this game, from assault rifles to even battle rifle types, pistols, shotguns, SMGs. Like, there's a huge slew of them, and melee weapons too. Customization is pretty top notch for both your player and the weapons. There's skins, there's unlockables, like, there's just a ton of things. There's perks per weapon. Granted, they're all the same, but when you use weapons, you can unlock and spend points you've earned on, like faster reload speeds, higher damage output, I think quicker aiming, like quicker movement, less damage taken. And so there's a lot of care put into that front. And there's also loadouts, which entails all that, but you can make multiple ones to try out different weapons. And lastly, for the good things, it's easy to control. You're not going to get confused at any point while playing this, at least from the controls. You can go into it, pick up the controller, and play immediately. It's super easy to get down. But now for the bad things, and there's quite a few. My first one, which I noticed while playing, is no crouch, only sliding. Like, you will never be able to crouch. I tried. It just doesn't exist in this game. You have to slide if you're going to duck. And it's kind of annoying, especially because sliding does not work everywhere. If you use it on a hill, sometimes it just doesn't happen. If you accidentally press it in your stairs, it just kind of launches you into the ceiling, and it's just not good. The gameplay is super repetitive with the same enemy types over and over again, the same type of areas, the same objectives, whether it's shoot these targets, hold off the enemy, make it to somewhere in time. It's over and over and over again the whole game. Forgettable story. I know there's a story to it. I beat it when it came out, but it just didn't stick with me, like, at all. I don't remember a thing about this story in this game. I know it exists, but I couldn't even tell you the first thing about it. Forgettable bosses. And same thing with the story. I remember there being bosses. Like, I remember the fight, like, well, there being fights. I don't remember what the enemies were or what the fights were even like, but I do know they exist. Next, and kind of tying in with that, is the difficulty balance in this game is so terrible. Like, what you're seeing right there is that entire jungle's filled with a ton of turrets that will wipe the floor with you in seconds, but no ammo to be found. And it does say you can stealth your way through it, but it doesn't really work because you go behind walls so they can't see you and the walls just kind of lower. But then you'll be way too overpowered in some spots, which can sometimes be a good thing, but in the case of this game where the gameplay is repetitive enough, it feels terrible. It doesn't feel like a reward, it feels awful. And speaking of which, the whole game feels slow. Like, whether you're overpowered or underpowered, it feels like the game moves at this minuscule pace, and everything feels like it takes forever. Dialogue by NPCs repeats so bad. Like, if you're doing an objective and you don't figure out exactly what they want you to do quick enough, it just repeats over and over and over again. And the same line of dialogue, it does not switch up. It's just until you figure it out, they just keep talking to you. And it's terrible. I ended up muting it while I was playing because I just didn't want to hear it anymore. And lastly is the unreasonable goals. The level I'm in right now wanted me to get 1,000,000 points. I sat for 15 minutes grinding points at the top combo multiplier, and I barely hit 200k. Like, I don't know what they expect you to do, but it's just too much, and it takes way too long. Nobody's going to want to play this game and do that. And I wasn't even doing anything. I was just sitting there shooting the same turret over and over and over again for 15 minutes, and it wasn't firing back. And it just took forever. But now that those are out of the way, I do have a couple notes about this. Kind of more in the positive light, but to start with, it's not even a terrible company behind this. When I saw Game Mill, I thought it was the people behind Walking Dead, but that was Game Flux. But Game Mill has decent games under their belt. I wouldn't call them AAA by any means, but they're not bad games. Like, they did the Nickelodeon Kart Racers one. They have a Monster Jam game, which, you know, if you've been with the channel, you know I'm a huge fan of. They did a Smash Bros. Clone with Nickelodeon characters, and they play really well. I've played all those games, and they didn't feel boring or monotonous, like at least not like this. This game just, it's so terribly paced in every way. And if they had marketed better and put a little bit more effort and care into this game, there's even a multiplayer section that I think could have done really, really well if they would have just fine-tuned it just a little bit more. But they didn't. Which goes into my last 2 points, actually, is if they do another Nerf game, which I feel like is almost inevitable, because just with Hot Wheels being kind of the same branding, and, well, not branding, but same area, if you know what I mean, and doing really well with Turbocharged 1 and 2, and then, like, even Roblox has Nerf games that do amazing. If they did more effort into it, I would totally try again. Like, I would give them the benefit of the doubt. And even if they tried to revive this game out of nowhere, which definitely won't happen, but if they did that and put a ton of care and updates into it and really marketed it and pushed to tell people, like, hey, we're actually trying with this game now, I would come back into it. But yeah, no, this game is, again, perfect example of good idea, bad execution. So I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're having a good day. If you're watching early on, have a good rest of your day. See you in the next one. Till then, you know, Nerf or nothing. And I'm just going to give this game a 3 out of 10, man. It has a good back behind it, but it's not strong enough. See ya.